Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. We'll be learning about booleans today. So the topic of booleans is all about true and false, right? We'll be also diving into boolean function, if and else with boolean values. So sounds quite exciting. Let's move on. So what are boolean values? When you evaluate an expression or a value, you can either be true or false. Here I have print 10 more than 20. So this will evaluate into false because 10 is not more than 20. Next, I have print 5 equals to 5, which evaluates to true, right? So you may be wondering why not one simple, but why we have two equal simple? Because one equal simple is the assignment operator, okay? It assigns value to variables as you've learned before. So if you just put one of these, Python will get very confused, right? So if you want to compare whether or not two values are equal, you use two of these symbols. Here I have the variable number 1 equals to 500, number 2 equals to 520. Print number 1 is less than number 2, which will evaluate into true because 500 is less than 520. As simple as that, okay? Next up, using if and else with boolean. We have the same variable, number 1 and number 2. If number 1 is less than number 2, print number 1 is less than number 2. But if it is not, aka if it is more than number 2, print number 1 is more than number 2. We also have a cheeky little function. It will evaluate any value that you put within it. So you can evaluate a string, this would return true. You can evaluate an integer, return true. You can evaluate a variable, number 1, which is 500, also returns true. So a lot of values are true. Anything is true except for empty values, right? So empty values like empty string, the number 0. Same with list, tuple, set, dictionary, which you will learn in the future. They are just really a way of organizing data. Like if they're empty, they evaluate to false, okay? As well as the boolean value false. False also evaluates into false. And then we have another value called none. It also evaluates into false because none really do match up with the concept of empty, okay? I hope that you understand that. Now let's move on to a function returning boolean value. Here I have def, my function. This is the name of my function. And the function returns true if my function. So instead of saying if my function is true, you can simply say my function, okay? As long as it has something in it, it just evaluates into true. You can also simply write if true is true. If, you can just put like a string, if true. This also evaluates to true. If 50, right? This also evaluates into true. Any string or any numbers is true except for 0, except for empty ones, except for, false and none, right? Okay, let's go back to this. If my function is true, print is true. Else, print it is false. Okay, now let's have a little bit of a demonstration. I have my Python project file right here. Let's have number 1 equals to 20, number 2 equals to 40, boolean function, number 1, print boolean hello world, okay. If number 2, print true. Else, print false. Let's have another one. If number 2 is equals to number 1, print equal. Else, print not equal. And now let's have a function, my function, no parameters, return false. Okay, if my function print my function is true, else print my function is false. Ctrl S to save. Let's run it. Okay. Boolean value of number 1 is true. Hello world is also true. If number 2, it will return true, right? Because as I've said, if you just put, like, I can replace this with a string, let's say. Yeah, I can make number 2 a string. It is still true. There's a typo over there, sorry. Let's run it again. If number 2 is equal to number 1, print equal. If not, print not equal, and it is not equal. Now, my function returns false. If it returns, if my function is true, it returns true. If my function is false, it is false, and here it returns my function is false. Okay? How about we change this and make it true? My function is true. So thank you for being with me here today and finishing the lesson. Our next topic is going to be Python operators, right? We'll be learning all about the interesting stuff of assigning and whatnot. Remember, learn today, better tomorrow. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. Today we'll be learning about operators. Now this is the first part 1. So what are we learning in part 1? We're learning about different types of operators and the common operators that we can expect to encounter a lot when we program. So first of all, what are operators? Operators, just like their name, they operate on things, right? They allow us to conduct operations, especially to variables and the values that those variables have, or the functions generate, or the user input, or whatever. So Python divides the operators according to this. You have the arithmetic, you have the assignment, comparison, logical, identity, membership, and bitwise. That sounds like a lot, right? We are working with a lot of things. So for part 1, I'm just going to focus on the arithmetic operators and the assignment operators, okay? So let's get on with it. Arithmetic operators. Arithmetic, very self-explanatory based on the name. It is used for math, you know? You can do calculations with it. The basic calculations that you can do are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Modulus just returns the remainder of a division to you. Exponentiation and floor division. Okay, as simple as that. I'm sure that everyone is familiar with all of these symbols, and you can use them freely. I will show you a demonstration in a bit as usual. Next up, assignment operators. As you've heard before, assignment operators are used to assign things, specifically values to variables. So we have the equal sign right here. Well, it's not the equal sign, it is called the assignment operators, right? The equal sign is 2 of these symbols. And Python has a neat little trick where instead of writing x equals to x plus 8, you can simply write x plus equal 8. Okay, so this is a little bit long-winded, and they've shortened it. So this is the equivalent. So let's say x is equals to 8, right? X equals to x plus 8 is x equals to 8 plus 8. So what do you think the value of x is? The value of x is 16, right? And this does the same thing as this. They are the same. Now the great thing is you can combine the assignment operators with the arithmetic operators here. So everything that you've seen from addition, subtraction, multiplication, you can simply put the assignment operator, this equal sign right here, the symbol, behind all of these arithmetic operators, and you can just write your code very efficiently and short. So now I'm going to boot up Visual Studio Code for a bit of a demonstration. Now let's create some variables. We have 20 and I have 5. Print x, plus y. I'm actually going to copy this and paste this just to be quick. X minus y, x multiply with y, x divided by y, the division remainder of x and y, exponentiation, and then floor division, okay? Next up, let's use the assignment operators. I'm just going to write a bunch here. This is just for efficiency, okay? This is not the final syntax. Plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulus, exponentiation, and floor division. And then after each of these, I'm going to print x, copy, paste down here, go down here and paste as well. There we go, Control S to save, and let's run it. Okay, so now we have the following numbers, x plus y, 20 plus 5 is 25, x minus y is 15, right? You can just scroll down here and you can see all of this. Now, for this part, it's a little bit hard to see because of the numbers that we've chosen. So I'm just go ahead and change this y into 7, and let's run it again. There we go, now we have a different number. So this is what it would be like if 20 is floor division with 7. And feel free to experiment with this, right? It's all about mathematics. And that's it for a demonstration. Thank you for being with me here today, and I'm glad that you made it to the end of the lesson. Our next topic was, once again, I've mentioned, is going to be Python operators part 2, since this there are a lot of operators, so I can't really shorten the lesson. Remember to like and subscribe. Learn today, better tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python operators part 2. For operators part 2, we'll be having logical operators and then identity operators. So this is the second part. The last part will be part 3, okay? Let's dive into the lesson. First of all, what are logical operators? So what they do is that they combine conditional statements. Now you might ask, what are conditional statements? I'm sure you're familiar with the syntax of if and else. If this condition is true, do this. Else, do that. Now with the default syntax, you can only do one condition, right? If this is true or if this is false, do this. If you want to add in more conditions to satisfy the if and else, you use logical operators. So subsequently, you have and, or, and, not. Let's go through each one of them. And will return true if both statements or both conditional statements are true. So both must be true. Next up is or. It will return true if one of the statements is true. And not is the complete opposite. It will return false if the statement is true, okay? So I have some examples over here. First with and. If x is less than 10 and x is less than 20, return true. If x is less than 10 or x equals 20, returns true, okay? It only needs one of these to be true. Now, if x is less than 10 and x is less than 20, if this is true, returns false, okay? Now, instead of saying and, you can put or in here, okay? Next up to identity operators. Identity operators compare values or objects to see if they are actually of the same object or the same type. And very simply, the keywords are is and is not. I'm going to erase these. Okay, so is will be true if both variables or values are the same. Is not will return true if both variables are not the same. So they are complete opposites to each other. Let's say if x is 10 and y is 10, x is y will return true, and x is not y will return false. Let's make this 3. Okay, I'm going to erase these. X is y will return false, and x is not y will return true. Now, not only does this apply to different values, it also applies to different types. Now, I'm going to make y exactly like x, but I'm going to make it a string. Now, x is y will return false, and x is not y will return true. Even though they are of the same value, they are of different types, okay? And I'm going to give you a bit of a demonstration from what we've learned so far. I'm going to create variable x, the value will be 1, y will be 7. If x is less than 10 and x is more than y, print x is less than 10 and more than y. Let's go down here. Elif or else if x is less than 10 or x is less than y, print x is either less than 10 or less than y. Else, print a smiley face, okay? Let's go down here and let's have a separate block of code. Not x is more than 5 and x is less than 10. Another print, x is not y, okay? Print x is y to show you whether or not these will return true or false with the values up here. Now I'm going to change the value down here, x equals to y. Print x is y. Contrast to save, and let's run this. Let's move up a bit. Okay, so the first if and else code returns x is either less than 10 or less than y. Okay, now down here we print if x is more than 5 and less than 10, returns false, but it is not, so it returns true. Print x is not y. It is true because x does not have the same value as y. Print x is y, which is false. And once we've changed the value and then we print x is y again, it returns true. If we leave this code out, if we leave the statement out, and run it again, the last line print x is y will return false once again. Now I'm going to change the value of x to 10. Okay, now else prints instead. Because x is not less than 10, it is equal to 10. Now you get the gist, okay? Thank you for staying to the end of the lesson. Our next topic is going to be the final part of Python operators, part 3. Remember to like and subscribe, learn today, better tomorrow, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python, the last part of operators. Operators part 3. We have membership operators, bitwise operators, and then operator precedence. I'm sure you're all curious on what they are, so let's hurry and move on to the next part of the lesson. First off, membership operators. What are they? It tries to find a similar sets of values between two objects. So it's like it compares two values and it sees whether or not they have the same thing. Okay, so it sees whether or not a sequence of values are in an object. And our keywords are in and not in, very similar to is and is not. In will return true if the sequence is in the object. Not in will return true if the sequence is not in the object. Very, very basic, right? Very simple. To the next part of our lesson, bitwise operators. So bitwise operators are a bit tricky. They are not complicated in a sense, but they are tricky because they deal with binaries, right? So if you're a beginner to programming and you're not really sure, or you don't have a solid grasp on binaries, these are going to be a little bit difficult to understand because it's just a bunch of zeros and ones. But rest assured, they are very basic in concept, and you won't be using them anytime soon. Our following operators: and, or, XOR, not, zero fill left shift, and signed right shift. All you need to understand from this is that they replaces values. They basically rearrange. That's what they do. They rearrange the positions of the binaries that they're working with. And I will give you a quick demonstration in a bit, but this is the basic syntax so far if you want to use them, okay? Last but not least, operator precedence. Very similar in mathematics, operator precedence gives priorities to certain operators. If an operator has a higher priority, they go first. Python would deal with them first. If an operator has a lower priority, Python would be like, maybe later, right? I will work on the higher precedence ones, and then I will move on to the ones with lower precedence, okay? As I've said here, it describes the order that operators are performed in. However, if they have the same precedence, Python goes from left to right. Since I cannot fit all of the operators in one line, I've divided, but basically it goes top to bottom, okay? The parenthesis is the one with the highest precedence, and it just all goes downhill from there. I have a variable x with the string value of hello world. Print hello in x. Print hi in x. Print goodbye not in x. Let's go down here. I'm going to have a comment, bitwise operators, okay? And a multi-line comment, because I want to show you. There you go. We don't really need, all of these zeros over here. But for the sake of demonstration, since, our bitwise operators do like to move things around, it'll be easier to see that these are the available placements that they can move these values behind here around. So print 6 and 3. I'm going to copy this a bunch of times. And I'm going to replace the operators. All right, I think that's all of the bitwise operators. Last but not least, precedence. A very simple print 5 plus 5 times 5. And down here, we will remove the parentheses. Ctrl S to save, and let's see how it works. Okay, there we go. Let's move upwards. So hello is in X, therefore it prints true. Hi is not an X, therefore it prints false. And goodbye is not in X, so it prints true, okay? So I want to go through each of these one by one and give you the gist of how they rearrange all of these zeros and ones up here. So this operator over here, it will compare each bit, right? So bits are the zeros and ones, and here are the bits for the number 6 and for the number 3. It will compare each bit okay, and set it to 1 if both bits are 1. For example, this place right here, this is 1. Up here, this is also 1. So what you get will be 1. And in a place where there's 0, and over here there is 1, what you will get is 0. For this next operator, it will compare each bit and set it to 1 if 1 or both is 1. Otherwise, it is set to 0. Down here, it will be set to 1 if only the bit of one number is 1, okay? Otherwise, in the case if both are 1s or both are 0, it is set to 0. As for this operator, it just inverts all the bits. So 0 becomes 1 and 1 becomes 0. For down here, it will insert the specified number of zeros, which is 3 in this case, and let the same amount on the left fall off. So for example, I have a bunch of zeros and 1s over here, and I insert 3 more, then these 3 will fall off. That's it. As for this one, the operator moves each bit of the specified number of times, once again 3 in this case, to the right, and all of the empty places on the left are filled with 0. Now that sounds very complicated. Don't pay it no mind. You will encounter these binary operators as you gain more knowledge in Python, okay? Last but not least, precedence. Obviously, parenthesis has the highest precedence, so whatever is within the parenthesis gets done first, and then whatever is outside of it gets done later. But without the parenthesis, the multiplication symbol is actually has a higher precedence than the addition. Therefore, 5 times 5 will get done first. This is 30, but up here is 50 instead. That's it for today's lesson. I hope that you understand all of that. Our next topic will be Python list. Thankfully, a much more simplified lesson to cover. Thank you for being with me here today. Remember to like and subscribe. Learn today, better tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. Finally, for this lesson, we get to learn a bit about lists, as well as their properties and type and list constructors. What are lists? The purpose of lists is very simple. They are used as a storage system. Before, when you create a variable, you can only assign one value to them, okay? But with lists, you can assign different types of values, many values, to only one variable, which make things very convenient. First, I want to discuss that list items have a fixed order. What do I mean by that? Think of a queue at a supermarket or at a fast food joint. If one person suddenly just go away or gets removed from that queue, the next person that comes along will be at the end of the queue. So that's what I mean when I say that lists have a fixed order, okay? And the items are replaceable. Just like the people in the queue, you can replace this person at this position, that person at that position, or you can change them up entirely. Last but not least, list also allows for duplication. So you can have twins, you can have triplets, you can have quadruplets in the queue, okay? And the index, like we've learned before, it starts at 0, it doesn't start at 1. I have a few examples of lists here. For the first list, it starts at 0, right? So item 1 is actually item 0, and item 2 is item 1, and item 3 is item 2. You can have strings in a list, you can have numbers or integers in a list, you can also have Boolean values, or you can combine, integers, strings, float, and Booleans. Now, we have this little thing down here. I don't know if you remember, but we've encountered this before. len, it returns the length of the object that is passed into it. Okay, so let me just erase this really quickly. What do you think is the length for this list? It is 3, right? There are 3 items in it. What do you think is the length for this list? It is 4. The same with here and with this one as well. Now let's move on to type. Type, it helps us find the data type of A. This is a bit misguided because it doesn't actually show you the things that are inside the list. It will simply return, data type is list, and that's about it. Last but not least, list. If you remember the example that I've showed you over here, you can simply use these square brackets to basically implicitly declare or create a list, and Python has no problem with that. However, if you don't want to do that, you can use the constructor list, but make sure that there are 2 parentheses at the beginning and at the end, okay? You can put whatever values that a list can accept, however many you like, and it just really works the same way, but the syntax is different, okay? Now I'm gonna go to Visual Studio Code. First, let's define a variable or a list. Hello world. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Floats. Floats. 22.5, 55.6, 78.9, and 99.2. Okay. Booleans. True, false, true, and false. Down here, let's print text, numbers, floats, and booleans. We're going to print it all in one line. Print length of text, length of numbers, length of floats, and lastly, length of booleans. Print type of text, type of numbers. This is all going to be in one line, okay? Type of floats, type of booleans. Let's go down here and let's create another list. Many types equals to, we're going to use the list constructor, a float, a boolean, another boolean, a string, another string. Print the length of many types and then the type of many types. Now I'm going to do a few statements on the index of the list. Index number 1 for text. Oh, missing the S. Print numbers 3. Okay, Control S to save. With the print text, numbers, floats, and whatnot, we have this output right here. These are all of our list in one line. Now with the length of text is 2, 1, 2. The length of numbers is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. And the type of text, classes list, they're all list. Okay, the same with many types. Many types length is 6 and the type of it is a list. Now, when we print the index number 1 of text, 0, 1, okay, it returns to us world. And when we print numbers at index 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, it is 4. That's it. Thank you for being with me here today. Our next lesson would be assessing the list items. As I've shown you a little bit before, it's going to be all about indexing, replacing, and whatnot, all of that good stuff, okay? I hope to see you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Learn today, better tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. Today we'll be learning about accessing list items. So this is basically a review of our previously learned indexing, but for today we'll be focusing on lists instead. So we have list indexing as well as checking whether or not an item is within a list. Okay, now first off, list indexing. What is it? What are the syntax and how do we work with it? We can access list items via index numbers. Remember, it starts at 0. So the first item would be at index 0. The second item would be at index number 1. Okay? I have this list right here, a list item 1, 2, and 3. Now you can print a list at index number 1. So which item do you think is index number 1? It is item number 2 because it starts at 0, 1, 2. Now for the second example over here, this starts at 0 because there's nothing before these 2 dots, and it ends at 1. Index 2 is actually not included. So this is from 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 2. Okay, and now a list with nothing is basically print from 0 all the way to the end. As for checking items, you can use the handy keyword in. Once again, the a list. If item 3 in a list, print yes, item 3 is in a list. So I have my Visual Studio Code over here. I'm going to create a list many types. Okay, so we have like hello, world, 1, 2, 3. These are integers, okay? Now we have float and then we have Boolean values. Let's go down here and print many types, and then let's copy it a bunch of times. I'm going to put number 2 here, and -4, -2, and over here is -5, and I'm going to put 4 over here. All right. Now to an if-else statement. If hello in many types, print yes, and let's have an escape character. Hello is in many types. Let's write another code. If chocolate in many types, print yes, chocolate. Oops. Escape is in many types. Else, print no, chocolate is not in many types. Contrast save. And let's see how this works out. Okay, as you can see here for the first statement, everything is printed out. Now we start at 2, okay? So 0, 1, 2. So it's number 1 all the way to the end. All right? For the if and else, if hello is in many types, print yes, hello is in many types. And yes, hello is in many types. However, chocolate is not. So no, chocolate is not many types. Now with the escape characters, you can have these single quotes surrounding the text over here. That's it for this lesson. It's a very short, quick, convenient lesson for you to review indexing as well as the in keyword for Python. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Learn today, better tomorrow, and see you next time. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python changing list items. Today we'll be looking at how to change the values of an item in an array or a list specifically, and how we can insert or replace different items and add in some more. First of all, changing item value. You can use index or index numbers to change the value of an item in an array. Here I have a list of item 1, item 2, and item 3. Each of their respective index numbers are 0, 1, and 2. A list 1, which is targeting item number 2, equals to hello world, so hello world would replace item number 2. And when you print a list, it will return item number 1, hello world, and then item number 3. Change item values range. Now, this is just basically a way of me saying that you can change multiple values, but you do have to follow an index range. We have the list flavors. We have banana, strawberry, chocolate, and whatnot. And flavors from index position number 1 till number 4. So let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So from strawberry all the way to mint, replace it with cheese and blueberry. What if you give more than necessary? If you insert more items, then you replace the extra ones, which just move along according to the replaced ones. Now I would demonstrate this in a little bit. Index number 0, 1, and 2. From 1 and 2, replace item 2 and 3 with kiwi and vanilla respectively. What if you add less than necessary? It is the same. With more than necessary, they function based on similar principles. A list with item 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. Now we don't have 3. And we only give one value, which is kiwi. We would get a return of item 1 and kiwi. Last but not least, inserting items. You can use the insert method to insert items with a specified index. All right, index is very important when it comes to manipulating all of the values that are within an array. And an array could be, a string, a list, tuple, dictionary, whatnot. A list item 1, 2, and 3 once again. Insert to kiwi 0, 1, 2. So item number 3 would become kiwi. Many types equals hello world, false, 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 true. Many types, index 1, 2, 3. Replace it with true and strawberry. Print many types. Many types, position 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3. Print many types once again. Whoops. Many types gives nothing. Kiwi. Print many types. Control S to save. All right, so for the first, replacing many types 1, 2, 3, replace with true and strawberry. So you have hello, then you have true, then you have strawberry, and the rest follows. Many types 1 to 5, replace with 1, 2, 3. You would have hello, 1, 2, 3, and then true. As for this one, since if you print many types and you give no index, it just prints all of the values there are. So basically, we're saying replacing the whole list with kiwi, and it separates kiwi by each character, and it makes it the whole list. Instead of having one value kiwi, it just, it gives you K, I, W, and I. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the lesson. Our next topic will be appending list items, which is basically just adding list items. Remember, learn today, better tomorrow, and see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. Today we'll be learning about appending list items, specifically about the append method as well as the extend method. Now, appending list items, what is it all about? We have our good old list, a list with item 1, 2, and 3. Now, append is another word for add. So a list dot append is the same as add this item over here to a list. That's all it is, as simple as it is. And you can add as many as you want. For demonstration purposes, I'm just gonna add, one item, and it goes to the back of here. If you add 2-3 more items, they just go to the back like that. Next up, extending lists. Once again, a list, and we have another list, numbers 4, 5, 6, 7. A list dot extend numbers. We use append for individual items. Extend is for a whole list. Okay, it doesn't have to be a list, actually. It could just be a tuple. It could be different forms of data sets. And as I've said here, elements are added to the end of the list. So 4, 5, 6, 7, it goes like that. Last but not least, adding iterable. What is an iterable? Iterable is a data that you can iterate or loop over. Examples of iterable are lists, strings, dictionaries, tuples, the data sets arrays are all iterable. We have our a list, our numbers list, and then we have a string greeting. Now, if we extend numbers into a list, what do you think will happen? It would be item 4 and item 5. Now, if we extend greeting to a list, what do you think would happen? Well, let's figure it out. A list, item 1, item 2, item 3. Numbers. Now, this is a tuple. Item 4, item 5, greeting equals to world. A list dot extend numbers. So now our a list includes whatever is in numbers. It is no longer the original a list up here. It's been changed, and anything that goes after this statement right here will be working with a list plus numbers. Print a list. A list dot append hello. A list dot extend greeting. Print a list. Contrast to save. As you can see here, item 1, 2, 3, and 4 is a combination of a list and numbers with the extend method. Now, next we append hello to this a list right here. As you can see, we have hello over here. Now we can extend greeting. Instead of having it all in one item like hello, extend breaks down the string into individual elements. Okay? Now, what would happen if you append greeting? Contrast to save. It would be treated as one world instead of WORLD. That's it for today's lesson. Thank you for watching. Our next topic is going to be about removing list items since we're done with adding it. Remember to like and subscribe. Learn today, better tomorrow. Goodbye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python, removing list item. Today we'll specifically focus on removing a specified item and then an index and clearing and or deleting the list. Remove. Well, the remove method is, as the name suggests, it removes stuff from a list, and you don't have to give it an index. That's for another method. All you need to do is give it the value of an item that you want to remove, and it will just remove it. But in the case of identical items, it will remove the first instance. So let's say I have 1, 2 of the same values. Remove will only remove the first one. It will leave this one alone. Next to the pop method, the pop method is exactly as the remove method, but it works with index instead of item values. As I've said here, it removes the specify index. If you don't specify the index, it will just remove the last item. Oops. Let me correct this typo over here, and let's continue. Once again, I have a list item 1, 2, and 3 and pop 2. Which item do you think it will remove? Let's count. 0, 1, and 2. So it will remove item number 3. Next up is del. What this method does is that it deletes an index. But if you don't specify an index and you just give it the name of a list, it will delete the list, right? Del delete. And if you print the list after you've deleted it, it will return you an error, and we'll get to see that in a bit. Last but not least, the clear method. It empties the list. Clear differs from del in a way that it only clears up the list, therefore the list will be empty instead of delete. And you can actually, you print the list and it will not return you error, but it will give you just an empty list, just square brackets with nothing inside of them. A list equals item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, item 5. I think that's it for now. Let's go down here and have a new list named colors. And in colors we have yellow, blue, red, brown, orange, and pink. A list remove item 1. It will remove item 1, well, the first instance of it. Colors remove blue. It will simply remove the value of blue outside of the list colors. Print a list and colors. This print will print both lists on the same line. A list pop, and I give it nothing, therefore it will remove the last item, which is item number 5 over here. Colors pop 2. What value do you think this statement right here will remove? 0, 1, 2. It will remove red. Print a list and colors once again so we can see the difference. Next up we have a list dot clear and print a list. And then down here we have delete colors at index 2 and print colors. All right, Ctrl S to save, and let's run it. First off, we have remove item 1, so item 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, and then colors remove blue. Therefore, we only have yellow, red, brown, orange, and pink. Next up, we pop out item number 5. Therefore, we only have 2, 3, and 4 left. The same goes with colors. And when you clear a list, it returns an empty list. And when you delete the index number 2 of colors, it gives you yellow, red, pink. Because if we go back up to here, this is yellow before the statement 0, 1, 2. So it removes the orange. We only have yellow, red, and pink left. Now let's see what happens if we delete colors and then we print it. Colors, Ctrl S, and it would give you an error, okay? Name colors is not defined because we've deleted it. That's it for today's lesson. Our next topic is going to be an introduction about loops, more on for loops, and the focus is going to be about lists once again because we're not done with everything about lists yet. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and learn today, better tomorrow. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tinateach Python. Today we'll be learning about looping lists, specifically for loops. the range and length methods that we've seen before, and an introduction to while loop, looping through a list. Now, this is the syntax for a for loop. You have for, in, and then the action that Python would take down here. Now, let's go through it from top to bottom. I have a list over here of fruit, kiwi, melon, and avocado. For x in fruit, print x. Now, what will this do? What it does is that it prints every element on a new line like that. So kiwi would be up here, melon would be down here, and lastly is avocado. Now, I want to tell you that you don't have to go with x, right? X is simply a placeholder. You can literally put any character, any name that you want. It doesn't have to be X. Down here we have another for loop, but this time we're using the method range and length. This is an alternative to printing lists with loop, and as we've put X down here, we do the same with I down here. Now I want to reiterate, it doesn't have to be I, it doesn't have to be X, it could just be anything else. Next is while loop. I have a list with bike, bus, and car. Now we're setting I to 0. It's the same with X and I over here. It serves the same purpose, it's the same thing. Once again, it doesn't have to have this name. While I is less than the length of transportation, what do you think the length of transportation is? It is 3. 1, 2, and 3. While I is less than the length of transportation, print I. But after Python prints I, add 1. Now, what does this mean? It may seem very complicated, but it is absolutely not. We set I equals to 0. That corresponds to the first index number, which is 0. While I is less than the length of transportation, or I is less than 3, print transportation with the index number, okay? So first, obviously, it would print 0 because I is at 0. And after it prints the index 0, it adds 0 to 1. So what's 0 to 1? That is 1. So it would print index number 1. And after it prints number 1 up here, it goes down here and it adds 1 more time. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And then it prints index 2. Then Python, just a minute, and then Python goes up here again. It prints index number 2, all right? And then 2 is added to 1. What's 2 with 1? That is 3. But now I becomes 3, and it is no longer less than the length of transportation, which is 3. It would be I equals 3 as opposed to I less than 3. Therefore, while loop stops printing. So you just have bike, bus, car. That's it. List comprehension. Now this is just a brief introduction to list comprehension. We'll dive deeper into the next lesson. Once again, transportation list, and this is simply a shorthand for a for loop. That's what list comprehension is. It's a shorthand, it's a shortcut to a lot of these methods about printing that you've seen previously, right? And the syntax goes print X for X in transportation, bike, bus, and car. Let's have a list over here. Fruit equals to kiwi, melon, avocado. And then let's have a shorthand for loop, print. Instead of using X, I'm going to use output. For output in fruit. Transportation, bike, bus, and car. For output in transportation, as you can see, the name doesn't matter. I can reuse the name, output, transportation, print, output. Food equals to rice, pasta, and noodles. For outputs in range, length of food, print, food, outputs. Okay, that's the placeholder for the index right here. You're just printing out index. Drinks equals to lemonade, milkshake, and milk. Output default index is 0, while output is less than the length of drinks, which is 3. Print the index of drinks with output as the placeholder, my bad, and increment output by 1 every time it prints. If you remember what we've had in the previous lesson, instead of writing output equals output plus 1, we can have a shorthand. Running it, first we have the list comprehension shorthand, kiwi, melon, avocado. Kiwi, melon, avocado. Next up is transportation with a simple for loop, bike, bus, and car. Bike, bus, and car. Next up is food with rice, pasta, and noodle. Now we're using the range and the length method for our classic for loop. And we have rice, pasta, and noodle. Last but not least, our drinks list, right, with lemonade, milkshake, and milk, where we set the default value of output equals to 0, which corresponds to index 0 of the list, while output is less than the length of drinks, which is 3. Print drinks with the corresponding index, but after it prints, increment output by 1. So we can go 0, 1, 2, 2. And it prints down here, lemonade, milkshake, and milk. That's it for today's lesson. Our next topic is going to be a deeper dive into list comprehension. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and learn today, better tomorrow. Goodbye.